Gleva. That's good. How are you, I ask? And the only answer is Gleva. We're only ever always very good in these parts, we hope. We're just getting online here. We stream these Ceilidhs as well as I'll come and find you guys in a second. Come on in, make yourself at home. We stream these, and then we're of course live and in person here in St. Anne's. Welcome to Cowshinagallack. I think we've got some first timers here to the Ceilidh. That's such a beautiful sight. And who's on their 75th Ceilidh? See, we got a bit of both. That's the best. My name is Margie. I work here on staff, and a very proud member of our staff. And we've got Ryan doing the tech side of things over here. Michael's on sound, and then we've got a couple of special guests joining us for the evening. The plan is 7:30 till 9 p.m.-ish, or hour and a half Ceilidh. Bathrooms are around the corner. We've got some tea and coffee. And we'll scare up a couple other oatcakes, which, if anyone noticed, they're not berries, and the word is out there, Barbie. We're looking for your specialties back here real soon, but we'll see to it that you get something if you're keen. And we'll have some tunes and some songs in the mix, and that's what we do around here. These Ceilidhs are every Wednesday. If you're ever traveling back home and you want to stay tuned in, we stream them on our Facebook page. No charge. You're just welcome to join us live, comment along with us, or you're also welcome to watch it on YouTube the next day. We have a YouTube channel. And yeah, join us anytime. We were talking to a few people, but there's some fascinating places where we've traveled from. So we're from St. Anne's, up the road, Englishtown as well, Goose Cove. Shout out a couple other places. Calgary, right on. Vancouver. You're not the only ones from Vancouver. Right over here, back row. Vancouver, they've been here in the area, the region, for 2 weeks. They're doing a proper maritime travel tour. That's the way to do it. Where else? Michigan. I didn't know that from you guys. That's amazing. First time here?
7th time here.
That's what we like. Repeats. That's great. And somewhere else, just shout it out. Boston, that's right, up front. We've got a gig. We've got a place for you to go this weekend if you're looking for live music. We're going to get Howie to mention that. We're taking care of you. And
Georgia.
And then we've got Georgia and Alabama. If you want to hear some rich, beautiful accents, there's the table. Just wonderful. Up from the States. Anywhere else? Did we mention Ottawa? Yeah, Ottawa's here. Wicked.
Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. Right on. Is that a city or a town?
It's a city.
It is, right on.
Scranton? I don't know if anyone knows.
Oh yeah, of course we know. Yeah, Scranton, Pennsylvania. Yeah, of course. That's amazing. Well, you're all very welcome here. That is first and foremost. Hospitality and welcome is a big part of the Gaelic culture, and now we're going to get into some of the music side of the culture. If you're ready for it, do you feel like tapping your toes? That's big. Well, we're just stopping what's already started, because Howie and Beverly were already driving her for the last 20 minutes getting geared up. They're some of our favorites. They're such regulars here to the Ceilidh, but they're regulars all over the island, performing so frequently, and we're so lucky that they're so generous, the two of them, with their time and talent. Both working today, full-time jobs and doing that, and now here in St. Anne's to play for us all. So we're just really lucky, and they're two of the finest that you can ever come by. So we're in the presence of greats with Howie and Beverly. Howie MacDonald and Beverly MacLean.
Alrighty. Oh dear. Put this there. There. Good evening. Very nice to be here. Just want to sit up with Fiddle here. Okay. that'd be a bad start. What do we do after that? Use your fiddle. Say that, your fiddle. It's not where the G string goes. No, it's not. She feeds me the lines and I tell them you. I'd like to start out with a jig that was introduced to Cape Breton by John Campbell. He's from Glenora Falls, which is in Inverness County. And John, along with a lot of other people from Cape Breton, went to the Boston States. Detroit, Windsor back in the 50s, 60s, and they would come home from the summertime with all these new tunes. And in the 70s, a lot of them came home with albums. So John introduced this jig, it was very popular that summer and throughout the 80s. It's called Pat's Parlor. And, like everybody starts playing it, and then it catches on. It becomes like Sandy McIntyre's Trip to Boston. That was huge one summer. John Campbell wrote that tune for Sandy McIntyre's Trip to Boston. Anyway, the stories do get more interesting as we go on. So we'll start out with Pat's Parlor in D. Thank you very much. Last spring, they had a little celebration for a friend of ours, Betty Lou Beaton. And Betty Lou's a wonderful musician, plays piano, kind of a mentor to us younger people. No, she's great, wonderful sense of humor, and she was kind of an icon when we were growing up. So she played with everybody. Buddy McMaster would be your brother. And we've been going to those dances since we were kids. So anyway, I was invited to participate, so I panicked and I wrote a little march for Betty. And I'm gonna try that march right now. It happens to be in the key of E, which I hear might be one of her favorite keys. Not saying anything, just putting that out there, Betty Lou. Okay, and then we'll go off somewhere else after that, but let's get through this one first, okay? Nice march in E. Okay. you very much. I'm thinking here. Hello. Is that it off? I'm sorry. Boy, I said some really bad stuff there. Thank God it was off. Could have got cancelled. Let's try. This is a nice tune. When I was about 6 years old, my parents bought an album of Sandy McIntyre. Sandy used to teach here summer after summer, and he released a double album. And he played guitar, he played piano, he played fiddle, and it was just wonderful tunes on this album. And you know, it's always playing in the house and it gets into your head, right? And one of the tunes on that album was called Margaret Ann Robertson. And from 20th century, Frank Jameson wrote it. So anyway, it's a beautiful tune, and we're going to play that. It's a little bit of a waltz, and if we feel the vibe, we'll go into a couple of reels after that. So let's try Margaret Ann Robertson. No. Thank you. The last tune was a pipe tune called Miss Proud. So that's direct to you from Scotland. Thanks you. Thanks you. That's Gaelic for thank you. Just kidding. Tablet. Yeah. Good to know we came prepared, Bev. All right. Donald MacLean's Farewell to Woburn, speaking of Scotland, a popular tune that Joe MacLean from Washabuck popularized probably back in the 60s. And everybody started to play the tune, everybody knew the tune. And Donald MacLean was actually from the Isle of Skye in Scotland. And the guy that wrote the tune was called Archie McNeil from Yeehaw, right? But it's pronounced Gig-ha. It's on the southern end of Kintyre, Mull of Kintyre, right? So anyway, Archie McNeil, it was a different clan. They have 2 L's at the end of their name. The Bear McNeils were from Beara. They have 1 L, but they had the same chief. Long story longer, Donald MacLean came from Skye, and he went to Oban to play in a competition to win a piping trophy. So he went to Oban, and he did not win. And Archie was saying, well, I guess it's farewell to Oban for you, Donald. And Donald wasn't too pleased, and he said, Archie ended up writing a tune called Donald MacLean's Farewell to Oban. And it became a real popular tune, and even Donald MacLean loved it in spite of not winning the prize, right? And Donald MacLean was also a jockey. He was a little guy, yeah. And the piper, not that it makes any difference, but he was also blind. So there's all kinds of, they had that stuff back there too. Well, no, it was just, it's history. It's not going to hurt you. You can't change it. It already happened. No, Archie McNeil, the piper, was blind. Donald MacLean was not blind. He was a short little guy, and he was a jockey and a piper. Well, I guess we should just move right along here. During COVID, I did a lot of research. And there's several versions of each story. But that's definitely one of them. Okay, let's try Donald MacLean's Farewell to Oban. C5 if you're playing the pipe. very much. So we played the Dusky Meadow after that, after the first tune, John MacLean's tune. You guys will never forget that story. And then we played Cotter Fair, another tune from the Athol collection. Gotta be careful how you pronounce that. Athole. It's one of the Bibles of Scotland, of fiddle tunes. And after that we played Dinky Dorian. And then we went up and played Sleepy Maggie. And we played that one in the middle there too, which I can't remember. But anyway, well, thank you so much for listening. We're just gonna either call up Mike, okay? Come on up, Mike. And big hand for Mike Kavanagh. And big hand for Ryan on audio. Mike is doing video, I'm sorry. Mike is doing audio. Ryan's doing video. And of course we know Beverly and me, Mr. Dressett. Okay, thank you again. We'll be back soon.
Howdy. Everybody's doing good out there this evening? Good. It's a beautiful day today to be traveling from wherever you might have came from, or hanging out this afternoon. First really warm day we've had. I'm going to slip in here for a few songs. Start out with a song by a guy from Ceilidh named J.P. Cormier, who everybody knows around here, but great flat top picker and songwriter and singer. I'll try to do a rendition of a song of his called The Molly May. better than mine. I can see that she's outlaying me. I am now in the world of time. And I saw the days of mid-devil waves. No man could be my equal. Through the eye of a needle-eyed sailor any day. When I grew older, I couldn't told her my courage slipped away. So they put a young boy who can't sew at the wheel of the Molly Ray. I was there to see her sail away in the cold December haze. But the cancel boy never seen the likes of the southeast wind and waves. In the harbor mouth, he drifted south right into Lighthouse Rock. And he smashed her keel and he laid her low as I watched there from the dock. Then I saw time with me and my pride. No man could be my equal. Through the eye of a needle-eyed sailor any day. When I grew older, I couldn't hold her, my courage slipped away. So they put a young boy who can't sew at the wheel of the Molly Ray. And I saw time with me, my pride. No man could be my equal. Through the eye of a needle-eyed sailor any day. When I grew older, I couldn't hold her, my courage slipped away. So they put a young boy who can't sew at the wheel of the Molly Ray. And there'll never be another of the likes of the Molly May. And I wish that I got down, boys, at the wheel of the Molly May. Alright, I'm gonna do a version of one of my favorite Dougie MacLean tunes. So anybody that knows Dougie from lots of different festivals, but he's from over in Scotland, and definitely he's like an icon everywhere, so especially over there. So I might as well do one of his biggest songs. Completely different from how he does it. I'm not going to attempt that yet. Version of the Caledonia here. I don't know if you can see changes that have come over me these past few days. I've been afraid that I might drift away. I've been telling old stories and singing songs. Makes me think about where I came from, and that's the reason why I seem so far away today. Ah, but let me tell you that I love you, and I think about you all the time. Caledonia, you're calling me, now I'm going home. If I should become a stranger, well, I think lost the friends I needed losing, gained others along the way. I've kissed the ladies and left them crying, stolen dreams, yes, there's no denying. I've traveled hard, sometimes with conscience flying, somewhere in the wind. Ah, but let me tell you that I love you, and I think about you all the time. Caledonia, you're calling me, now I'm going home. If I should become a stranger, well, I think that it'd be more than sad. Caledonia's been everything I've ever had. Now I'm sitting here before the fire, the empty room, the forest choir, the flames that couldn't get any higher, they wither, now they're gone. Oh, but I'm sitting thinking my way is clear. I know what I will do tomorrow. The hands are shaking, the kisses flow, now all disappear. Ah, but let me tell you that I love you, and I think about you all the time. Caledonia, you're calling me, now I'm going home. If I should become a stranger, well, I think that it'd be more than sad. Caledonia's been everything. Caledonia's been everything. Caledonia's been everything I've ever had. Thank you very much. All right, I think I got one more anyway for sure. I don't got the itinerary in front of me. Yeah, okay, there he is. I'll do one more here. Try a Lenny Gallant tune. Lenny Gallant's from PEI. I've been doing this song forever. I think this was inducted into the Canada Songwriters Hall of Fame a few years back. It's got to be at least 25 years old now, I'm pretty sure. It's called Peter's Dream. I stood up before the day breaks. I still walk down to the shore. I watch the sunrise from the eastern ocean, but I don't sail to meet her anymore. How the day will let this happen? They saw it come years ago. The green ships kept getting bigger and bigger, and the sonar told to go. Last night I dreamed that I was sailing on the Sea of Galilee. We cast our nets upon the water, and Jesus pulled them in with me. Yes, he pulled them in with me. Where am I gonna go now? And what about old I am? And what about this old piano? And what about my father's bones? Last night I dreamed that I was sailing on the Sea of Galilee. We cast our nets upon the water, and Jesus pulled them in with me. Yes, he pulled them in with me. Someone sang an old sea shanty, and he told a mainland joke. Hell, he cursed and swore until his voice gave out. Then someone asked me for a smoke, and then he took his father's shotgun, walked to the harbor through the town, fired 14 times, told everyone not. We all watched that boat go down. Last night I dreamed that I was sailing on the Sea of Galilee. We cast our nets upon the water, and Jesus pulled them in with me. Last night I dreamed that I was sailing on the Sea of Galilee. We cast our nets upon the water, and Jesus pulled them in with me. Yes, he pulled them in with me. Ah, yes, he did. I stood up before the day breaks. I still walk down to the shore. I watch the sunrise from the eastern ocean, but I don't sail to meet her anymore. Good, guys, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
What's that?
Oh, you're gonna go in that one, okay?
All right.
Which one do we got there?
Everybody's so sensitive.
My favorite word at school, get. No. It's almost June. Okay, I'm gonna do a little tune that I wrote for one of our neighbors down the road that I grew up with, and I passed away suddenly this fall. Great guy. And I was listening to that, I think it's Tennille Towns, and she wrote a song called The Last Time. And I realized that when I thought of, so it's, his name's Bobby Van Donlen, and I used to see him on the road all the time. He was such a great guy that I'd get Facebook messages saying, "Watch for deer on the road," or cows. And you'd see the smile before you'd even really see the car. And he had a great big wave. So I thought one of the last times that I saw him was just out in Gasoline Alley there, and I got the big teeth, smile, and wave, and then unfortunately he passed away. So I have a nice memory to think about him. So yeah, this is called Bobby's Big Wave. it's done. I guess we'll do,
What are the name of that old town?
good.
For what are the names of those two?
Yeah.
Let me think. I know some of them. So the first one again was Bobby's Big Wave, and the second was Bowsy's Big Birthday. 60th birthday. And then I'm not sure what the one after that is. I don't know the name of it.
I don't think they heard Bowsy's big birthday straps day. I didn't hear it either.
Yeah, so written on the occasion of some old fella's birthday.
There you
There you
go.
And General Longstreet, it's real.
General Longstreet?
Yes.
Yeah.
Lively Steps. And then Bennett's Favorite. Look at that. Got most of them. That's a start. All right, I think I'll just do some jigs. And we'll just see where that goes. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'll know in the next 10 seconds.
I'll let you know.
8:42.
Fast. Woo-hoo. All right, let's do a little MSR combo. MSR combo. Let's do Father. Is it Father Eugene's?
Oh,
Oh my goodness, my words are gone. Yes, that one. That's the one. We'll start off with that and see where we go. And do some nice Strathspeys and reels and all of that stuff. So, sorry, I'm terrible with names.
not when she's talking to me.
Can't repeat those names.
This is not live, is it?
use that one, Mary.
Great. Sure. How about a hand for Beverly and Howie up here rocking it? Get out of your way.
You can still plug in.
I haven't danced all winter.
Yeah, she's
Shows.
Yeah.
But the tunes were just too good to sit still. So, we'll wrap up with a little finale, but I guess, while you guys figure it out. But I wanted to mention you were looking for some performances coming up in Sydney, and Howie had one coming up that's worth a mention. If you don't mind, Howie.
Yes, I'm
Where's
sorry.
that gig in East Bay?
East Bay Legion, and it's the East Bay Legion. Oh, my gosh. Help! Does it make any sense to say the East Bay Legion and Howie Center? Because that's what it, anyway. So it's Sunday 2 to 4 at the East Bay Legion in Howie Center, or the East Bay Fire Hall in East Bay. Yeah, just go towards East Bay and put down your window, and we'll turn up the volume, pump up the volume. Me and Beverly and Keith MacDonald's putting it on. So Keith is in Big Pond. So I'm sure between now and Sunday we'll figure it out. You know, once you air this thing, by the time this gets aired, we'll figure it out. Good. See, that's the benefit of not doing things live. You can take all these mistakes out, right? I've been saying that for 10 years now. Anyway, thank you all so much. That was, you guys are a fantastic audience. Thank you, Bev. Thanks, Margie. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Mike. And we had a great time. Space. Wow. We're going to do Space Available by Marcel Doucet. And after that, Bev, you're on your own. I'll just follow. You don't know. Okay. Okay. You do the trash bays. Okay, bye-bye. I mean, wait. Yeah, no, that's fine. Okay. No, I really have to go. Okay, bye. Don't call back. Try your voice. Space Available by Marcel Doucet.